Good evening, good afternoon, good night, wherever you may be, everybody. We got Operator Starsky here again tonight, and very excited about it. Just really quickly go over the ground rules. We're not going to discuss anything that might reveal Starsky or any other soldiers' positioning or movements and put their life in danger. And we're not going to entertain any pro-Russian propaganda or bigotry in the chat. Our moderators will hand out warnings, block users as needed. So hopefully everybody can play by the rules. We can have a nice, friendly chat, get in some viewer questions as well as some panel ones. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and hand it off to Operator Starsky. He's almost always got some stuff to catch us up on right away. How you doing, Starsky?
Hey, doing fine. So today we have a bunch of news. The most important news of today is that Ukrainian forces are developing successful counterattack in the area of Kharkiv. So we are pressing those Russian invaders back, and they are retreating big time to Russia and relocating their troops to the area of Donbass, where they want to concentrate their main forces. So today we have liberated a bunch of smaller villages and towns in Kharkiv. And another news is that according to our intelligence, and by the way, we also received a report from the intelligence of Ministry of Defense of United Kingdom. And according to those reports, Russians simply don't have enough force as well as competence to capture major cities like Kharkiv, for example. And I think that now it's obvious to pretty much everybody. And today, one of their most new and modern vessels was damaged in the Black Sea. I'm talking about Vsevolod Bobrov. It's a supply vessel that was built in 2016, and our armed forces were able to damage this vessel and put it on fire. And I think that now it's pretty much obvious to all of us that Russians are not able to capture major cities, as I already mentioned, but we are receiving new evidence that Russians attempted to capture whole Ukraine. And like more than a month ago, we have received this document from hackers of the anonymous group. And there was a list of tasks of basically turning Ukraine into a Northern Korea, gaining full control over our media and eliminating leaders of opposition and stuff like that. So I think it's available online. Not sure whether it's translated in English, but I hope that they should have translated it by now. And there's still a lot of people claiming, including their authorities of Russian Federation, claiming that everything goes according to plan. So their plan was basically to invade Ukraine, lose a lot of troops, receive a lot of radiation in Chernobyl, and retreat from Kiev and retreat from Kharkiv, again losing a lot of troops and vehicles, and their generals that were killed by Ukrainian armed forces. Today we also have a list of their biggest fakes that were shared today in social media. One of them is regarding the message about it's basically a message that was shared in Telegram, Facebook, and Instagram, even in random social media, regarding the so-called command for mobilizing for total mobilization issued by President Zelensky, which is a fake because there's no such command, and also there was another fake shared throughout social media regarding neo-Nazi and security service of Ukraine that were making those punishing raids, so-called punishing raids on so-called people that were accused of collaboration with Russians and stuff like that. So we still have a pretty big amount of fakes produced by Russian trolls, Russian agencies like Olgina and stuff. So they still keep working in that direction. And one of the most interesting news of today is counterattack performed by our National Guards and Marines that are surrounded in Azovstal. So they are able to perform such operations on a tactical level, and there's even a video available on YouTube again about this counterattack. So those guys are doing well. And in Kherson, Russians have shot at evacuation convoy that was evacuating people from occupied area of Kherson to Mykolaiv. Unfortunately, there are wounded people, and in as a response, Ukrainian armed forces have destroyed their Russian command vehicle in Kherson, and they have destroyed some pretty advanced machine used for coordinating their troops. So probably soon we will hear about some of Russian commanders being demilitarized. So that's the main news of today. Thank you very much.
Okay, yeah, I've been trying to keep up with the news where I can, and it looks like they're really just failing on every front. They keep trying, and they're kind of going for an overwhelming defense without thinking it through, and you guys are just outthinking them and knocking them back. Probably one of the biggest pieces of news, and we discussed this a little, was the pontoon bridges. They were dropping them in the Luhansk region and basically trying to encircle Ukrainian forces that had taken and held areas along the eastern border. And then you guys had been using your artillery and I think some of the artillery we sent to you, but I'm not sure, to knock those out. Is that still a tactic that they're going with, or have they gotten smart and started trying to figure out another way around?
We are lucky. I'd say I'd put it this way. So we are lucky that Russians still have those old Soviet generals with this old Soviet type of mentality, because first of all, they are doing everything according to their military books. So for example, when they make some kind of position, for example, for artillery, right? So we know exactly how many trenches they will have. We know exactly like what kind of trenches there will be, and we even know more or less precisely the location of those trenches, because they are doing everything according to book. And Ukrainian army, for example, a bit flexible. As for this, this crazy habit of repeating some crazy commands over and over and over again. So we basically have seen this kind of behavior, this template. Probably it's because whenever a commander or like a general receives a report from his troops that their mission wasn't successful, so those Russians keep issuing same commands and commanding them to try again over and over and over again, like it was in Chernobyl and like it was in numerous places that I have heard of. And yeah, like we see here, so they are trying to cross that river of Siversky Donets, and they keep failing because obviously they are trying to do the same thing over and over and over again, expecting a different result.
Yeah, there's actually a saying over here that to repeat the same action over and over and expect a different result is the definition of insanity. So they're definitely meeting the qualification. It looks like we have a super chat on the line, so I will go ahead and hand over to Aimee for that.
Thank you so much. We do. We have a super chat from level 70 for Canadian $13.99. Says, how will the U.S. announcement of restricting intelligence to Ukraine affect Ukrainian operations, if at all? Thank you so much, Level.
That's a good question. So currently we are closely cooperating with intelligence of the United States and in general with intelligence of NATO. But of course, we have a lot of our own measures. And for example, we were quite successful at the very beginning of this invasion because we have captured a lot of Russian equipment designed to provide communication between their troops on the level of their command. So I think there won't be much, problem with restricting this intelligence. But yeah, I think that we can expect that Russians won't change their behavior much, still having all those generals that received their education in Soviet times, and they are so much so much far from reality of modern war.
Yeah, they're still going with the old, 1970s, 1980s methods of tank warfare. Meanwhile, you guys are using drones and artillery and just anything you have to get it over on them, and they've been absolutely unable to deal with that. And then, talking about being insane, I saw the video with your coverage of the the ever feared Russian victory day, and everybody expected it to be an announcement of escalation of war against Ukraine and against the West in general, but it turned out it was pretty much just a joke. You had people out who were carrying signs of individuals they didn't know and just spouting off rhetoric about things they didn't understand. Um, do they actually buy that, or is it just a social pressure to be out there doing that?
Well, I saw those videos of those, school kids, those pupils, carrying those portraits, and in the full interview, that girl who says that it's just an image, she says that they were sent by their school to participate in that parade. So it's like it was like an order from their teacher or their principal. So yeah, they are like not like forced, but ordered to participate in that, and basically they don't care much about it.
It's an indoctrination process rather than one they've made of free will. It looks like we've got another super chat on the line. Are you ready to take care of that, Aimee?
Yes, I am. Thank you so much. We've got one from Chad Fries for 10 American dollars. Says, I read Ukraine Navy today sank another but new Russian auxiliary supply and icebreaking ship. Volod Borov, I'm sorry about pronunciations, in the Black Sea near Snake Island. I read this confirmed. What do you think? Thank you so much, Chad.
Yeah, that's what I've just told you. That's Vsevolod Bobrov. So it was a supply ship, and I don't have information about sinking it, but I had information about putting this vessel on fire. So there was huge fire inflicted by some black magic used by Ukrainian armed forces.
Okay, and it looks like Dave has the question. Go ahead, Dave.
Sure thing. It's always great to have you here, Starsky. I was going to ask, given everything that you've just clarified for us, what do you think is the objective for the Russians now? It used to be, they seem to be like just bomb every major city, and then they've moved to the Donbass region. Now, what do you think it is?
Well, to me, it's obvious that they are trying to capture as much territory on the Donbass as they can. As for the rest of Ukraine, they expected a much smaller resistance from our armed forces as well as our population, civilians. But yeah, they were surprised by this resistance, and of course they weren't ready to face that. Today I've been to Hostomel once again with Japanese journalists, and they saw those remains of Russian ammunition designed to fight protesters. It's police ammunition, those rubber bullets, and they're fired from shotguns. So they saw those cases, from those rounds, and they were like, what are they used for? I mean, like, it's war, and that kind of ammo is not a proper ammo for the war, you know. And I said that, yeah, it was supposed to be used against Ukrainian protesters in case Kiev, you know, in case Kiev was captured by Russians. So yeah, they failed pretty much, and I think that they did not expect such resistance. But currently, I think that they want to control as much of Donbass territory as possible, and they will, I think, burn most of their soldiers in that very region, trying to get as much territory as possible.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I just find that it's so baffling from our perspective, at least my perspective anyway, where we're looking at this situation and maybe we're getting a bit of biased information, but it does seem like Russia are just making no gains whatsoever. And it strikes me as it makes me wonder, I'll put it to you this way, it makes me wonder whether they, with their outdated weaponry and all of that, like you're describing, do they genuinely believe they're going to win? Are they that sort of ignorant, or do you think it's because they've got bad intel, bad information?
I wouldn't say that their equipment and their weapons are too much outdated, even compared to Ukrainian weapons. We're not talking about the Lend-Lease right now. We're talking about, you know, artillery and personal weapons like assault rifles and stuff. And the thing is that there's a lot of them. So it's not an easy battle. Today, Ukrainian forces have successfully defended against 18 attacks from Russian troops. So every battle is kind of hard for Ukrainian forces. Again, we are losing our men as well, not so many men as Russians, but yeah, we're still losing our comrades, and it's very hard. According to the report of the National Guard of the structure where I serve, so National Guards have lost more than 500 men during this invasion, and that's quite a number to us, because my friends were among those men who died protecting Ukraine. And yeah, every battle is very hard to us, because again, we are forced to spend a lot of our ammunition, a lot of anti-tank missiles and anti-tank rockets on Russians, and Russians keep throwing as much people as they can in order to, you know, to make us run out of our ammo. For example, I talked to one of our guys who was captured by Russians, and some of big Russian officers, not sure whether it was a general, but he was from FSB, from what my friend told me. So he said that that FSB officer talked to him, and this guy asked him what was the point of losing so many helicopters during that very first attack in Hostomel, and that FSB guy said that it was our tactics. So we decided to make you empty your ammo storages on our, you know, helicopters, meaning like our anti-air measures. And then we landed and took over Hostomel airport and your base. and I asked him, like, okay, you are a conscript, but still, do you believe this? He's like, of course I don't. So yeah, that's one of their tactics. Like, yeah.
Yeah, they you know, that's one thing I think people should keep in mind. Even though you guys are kicking ass, taking names over there, it's not come free. You have lost soldiers as well. So anytime we talk about this, try to keep that in mind. That it's not easy by any means, and you guys are damn well ready to go to the mat to keep them out of Europe. And it looks like we've got a super chat, so I'm gonna hand it off to Aimee to take care of that.
Yes, please. We have one from level 70 for Canadian $6.99. He says, when can we expect a massive counteroffensive to retake Kherson? Days, weeks? People are sick of listening to the Russian collaborators, i.e. traitors. Thank you so much, Level.
Yeah, so the counterattack is ongoing in the direction of Kherson for probably 2 or 3 weeks, according to my information. But according to information from our Ministry of Defense, we expect the full-scale counterattack probably by the end of it's May today, right? So probably by the end of May. But again, you know, the information published in such a way is does not always, you know, correspond to reality for obvious reasons. So we will see. Let's just wait and you know, expect good news from our armed forces.
Okay. I might be having a bit of audio problem, and I might need to take care of that in a second. But right now, we've had a.
You're clear
Guys?
now. All good. Yep.
Okay. Good. It looks like we've got a couple of questions about the same topic from a couple of people. It's about Kharkiv. And it's basically, is Kharkiv free now? And if not, will it be liberated soon? If yes, what impact will it have on the war?
So Kharkiv as a city wasn't captured at all. So there was a bunch of combats that were happening around the city. We're talking about the oblast, which is basically a region of Kharkiv. And Kharkiv is located very close to border with Russia. And the main Russian offensive was happening around this city. So our troops moved out of city and liberated a bunch of towns around Kharkiv and smaller villages. And number of those liberated villages increased by today. And they are pushing Russian invaders away from that region. So it's not liberated like completely, but we are expecting that to happen because Russians want to keep a lot of their troops in the area of Izium, and Izium is located near Kharkiv. It's a bit to the south from Kharkiv, so they need that strategic position there because they want to take control over Izium and areas around Izium because it's very important transport, communication. So they want to concentrate a lot of troops in that area, and also by taking over Izium, they will have opportunity to surround our forces that are located a bit to the south from Izium. And we are putting all of our efforts into not letting them do that.
Okay, and then also we've had a couple of questions about Mariupol, and I know that they announced that all of the women and children and elderly had been evacuated and they were engaged in a they were basically engaged in skirmishing within the steel plant itself. I'm assuming that this question is regarding outside military aid. Does it look like there's going to be any, outside military aid coming in to intervene in that situation?
Probably, yeah. And again, the guys that still hold their defense in Azovstal, they have a lot of ammunition and enough of weapons to keep fighting, even despite the fact that this combat is taking like 2 months. So, of course, I think that there is a way to deliver ammo and weapons to those guys. And from what we see, this way works.
So basically just doing some supply drops to get them to counter the enemy?
Yes, that's what I'm talking about.
Okay. And then also we had one, I'm trying to find it right now. We had quite a few. Here it is. What does Starsky think of Putin's Victory Day speech? It seemed a bit downbeat and not what most people were expecting.
That's exactly what I said. I mean, a lot of people were expecting him to say something, something significant regarding probably nuclear strikes or like total mobilization in Russia. But no, I was sure that he was going to talk same stuff about that their great victories in Ukraine and stuff like that. So yeah, one of the craziest things that Putin said, not on this Victory Day, but previously, was that he was sure that Soviet Union would easily win the Second World War without support of allies and without support of Ukraine, which was part of Soviet Union, which was insane because Ukraine has lost millions of its soldiers in that war. And as I mentioned in one of my comments on YouTube today, Soviet Union partially was so successful in terms of their military might because Ukraine was part of Soviet Union back then.
Yeah, the arrogance is out of this world, out of him and that entire country. It looks like we've got another super chat up on deck, so I'm going to hand off to Aimee once again.
Yes, please. Thank you very much. We've got one from Garth McKeel for Canadian $5, says, how credible is the threat from Belarus army with its current exercises along the border? Thank you so much, Garth.
Yeah, so according to our information, again, Belarusian soldiers don't want to fight. And we have received a lot of confirmations of that information. So I think that they are trying to understand whether they can use their army, in fact, or not. Well, in my personal opinion, Lukashenko is crazy. So I'm not sure whether we can, make some kind of sane, whether his words have some kind of sane results, and whether we can analyze them, like words of a sane man, so to say.
They, talking about the Belarusians, and we've had a couple of questions about conscripts and stuff as well. I actually had a chance to take in a documentary about how Russia basically prepares its soldiers, and it starts them as kids, teaching them when they're in what is to us elementary school to disassemble, reassemble weapons and throw grenades. And it's a full indoctrination process that starts early on. And I'm sure that's what fed in Victory Day. But meanwhile, they're accusing you guys of, to put it very briefly, being Satanistic child cannibals, which is insane to think an entire country is going to have fall into that. Can you share a little more about the propaganda that they spread about Ukraine? Because we only get a limited amount of that over here to kind of see
Yeah,
where they're going.
so it's very funny because there's a lot of such propaganda in Russia. So in Russia, they have like a lot of those TV shows dedicated to paranormal things, like aliens, like people with supernatural abilities. Not like I want to insult people who believe in this in those things, but like they literally put a lot of money into such shows, and those shows literally promote this stuff. But as for that article, so basically a bunch of Russian media published an article that says that they received evidence of armed forces of Ukraine performing rituals of black magic. And I'm not kidding, I checked that information. It's online. It's actually there on a bunch of Russian web resources, including their main resources like RIA Novosti. And it was very funny to read. So they accused Ukrainian armed forces of doing black magic, and they explained that in some positions that were abandoned by Ukrainian artillery battery, they found some kind of stuff related to those black magic rituals. So they it's like Ukrainian artillerists asked black forces to bless their weapons and stuff like that. And it's so crazy. It reminds me of the gossip that they tried to spread like in 2015. I remember that because I was literally laughing my ass off. So Russians, it was on Donbass, and Russians shared this like gossip, this news, this propaganda. So saying that Ukrainian soldiers raped a pig, and soldiers that I was talking to, they were destroyed. They were like, oh my God, why pig? Why in the world it was a pig? I mean, we can understand everything, but man, pig, what the hell? just stop, please stop doing that.
You haven't seen what their wives look like.
That is true.
Yeah, obviously you're using black magic if you can defeat them. It's the only explanation for it. And then with that, I'm gonna hand it off to Aimee for a couple of super chats. Looks like we got a few on deck.
Yes, we do, please. Thank you so much. We've got one from Vasi Gancheva for 20 Bulgarian levs. Says, good evening, Slava Ukraini. What is the situation in Azovstal? I saw some Russian propaganda that they took it, but that's not a trustful source for sure. The second one is from Ungato, says Radio Free Europe, $10 American, says Radio Free Europe, Telegram, various YouTube channels like 1420 are great ways to spread the message. No war, Vladimir Putin. Thank you so much. And then we also, for $5, for $5 American dollars, from Mr. Diggs, says, saw a visit to Chernobyl. Did Russian soldiers take vehicles back to Russia? Everything they brought back to Russia should be radioactive for a long time. Thank you so much.
Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, so regarding Azovstal, again, there was this journalist, Russian journalist, that was working in the area of Mariupol together with Russian troops, and he was constantly saying things like, capturing of Mariupol is a matter of hours, maybe minutes. and he repeated this phrase like for like 2 weeks. So yeah, here in Ukraine, we all agreed just to ignore Russian media at all, because if Ukrainian media says that yes, this was indeed captured, they won't be lying about it, because you know, it's crazy to lie about such things. So we agreed to ignore Russian media at all, because we know that whenever Russian propagandist is speaking, it means that he is performing a combat operation only in informational you know, field. So yeah, that's our opinion on this.
All right. And then
And regarding those radioactive vehicles, so basically, I think that those vehicles weren't taken back to Russia. I think they took them to Donbass, where their majority of their forces are situated at this moment, and I think that a lot of them were destroyed. But again, I think that those vehicles shared some of this black magic that was acquired in the trenches of Chernobyl with Russian soldiers. Again, those workers in Chernobyl reported that they literally saw those Russian soldiers with radioactive burns on their skin, which means that they were in close contact with radioactive materials. And that worker that I talked with, he said that they used their trench machines to make trenches, but he saw that a lot of those soldiers were digging those trenches using their shovels. So yeah, they contacted a lot of radioactive materials, because in that yellow forest or red forest, how you call it, those trees that received a huge dose of radiation from radioactive cloud, they were cut down and buried in the soil. And of course, there was a lot of radioactive dust from the reactor that fell on the ground in that area. And it was also buried into the soil. Actually, my father was one of the so-called liquidators. He was military, and he was one of those men who were responsible for cutting down those trees. And he says that that was the craziest place on earth, actually. And yeah, just, you know, imagining those soldiers making trenches for their vehicles. It's crazy, because, you know, for example, even if those vehicles were taken to Russia, so they have this habit, like here in Ukraine, like for example, for random holidays, our brigade used to bring our vehicles to some kind of central square of a city or a town, and have kids making selfies on those vehicles. They were stealing buttons from those vehicles all the time, so we had to repair them often. Yeah, in Russia is the same. So imagine those Russian kids just climbing those vehicles and making selfies on them, and receiving like unimaginable doses of radiation just from, you know, being close to all that radioactive metal. It's crazy.
Yeah, they're going to have their own version of Gulf War syndrome in a few years with the activity they're into over there, because you're not even supposed to disturb the moss on the sidewalks in that area, much less dig. Looks like we've got several super chats coming up, so I'm going to hand it off to Aimee to take care of those.
Yes, please. We do. Thank you so much. We've got one from Rich Kenny for $19.99 US. Says Godspeed, enjoy listening. Thank you so much. We've also got one from Decula03 for 20 American dollars. I'm sorry you don't have a message on there, but if you have a question or anything, please make sure we get that and we'll highlight that for you. Thank you so much. And then we have one from Susan Sprague for Canadian $10. Says, good to hear from you, Starsky. Do you know if Aristovich's daily briefings are available in English anywhere? Thank you so much, Susan. And then we have Brian for €5 who says, A. Aristovich, serious pushback regards weapons supplies. Germany putting brakes on deliveries. Calls between Schultz and Macron concerning. Thoughts? And then we also have Bill Balistreri for $5 American says, Foreign Legion fighters tweeted that many AFU fighters in the Eastern Front lack body armor, secure comms, etc. Are steps being taken to resolve this? And there was one more that I had from Level 70 for Canadian $6.99. Says, any chance we will see Ukrainian troops back on Snake Island soon? I miss the FU guy. Thank you so much, everyone. I appreciate it very much. Thank you.
Okay, so many questions. I already forgot like majority of them, so I'm sorry. Regarding Aristovich, I think it's rather political talks. I'm not into this kind of stuff, so I cannot comment much that. Regarding Snake Island, yeah, eventually I think that we will take control over this island, and the main threat again is Russian fleet, the Black Sea fleet, and we have to decimate its amount of ships to be able to do that, of course, and we have to have some nice defense on the Snake Island against Russian aviation as well as their vessels. So eventually I think it will happen as soon as we receive the required weapons from our allies. And by those weapons I also mean missiles. Of course we are expecting to receive those as well. And regarding International Legion, yes, we are receiving gear. I mean, like helmets and body vests. And yeah, there's still a problem with that because we didn't expect so much of volunteers willing to fight for Ukraine. But again, we are receiving a lot of those. A lot of that gear from different countries like Poland, like United States, like Japan. For example, I received a question from our Japanese friends whether we are using those. And the answer is, yeah, of course we do. My brigade specifically doesn't use Japanese helmets and vests, but I'm sure that they are used by other units. So I hope I answered the question.
Okay, was that all of the original super chats? Because it looks like we have a couple more as well.
We have 3 more. Yeah. Thank you. Sorry about that. We've got one for $20 American from Jimbo McGee. Says, on a lighter note, Everything is Illuminated is a great movie set in Ukraine. Have you seen it, Starsky? How is Eugene Hoots, the Ukrainian actor musician, doing? He's absolutely hilarious. Thank you so much, Jimbo. And then from Commander 401 says, may your strength continue, be safe. Thank you so much, Commander 401. That was for $10 American. And then we have one from Doug Dory for $5 American. Says, our local brewery did a fundraiser from recipes from Pravda Brewing in Levy, a Ukrainian stout. Proceeds went to Pravda for injured children in Ukraine. Thank you so much, Doug. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, actually, I'm receiving a lot of emails from different businesses all over the world. And not only businesses, but also from common people who, for example, care for our refugees, or dedicate their time to raise funds for helping our refugees, and of course it's highly appreciated here. I think all of Ukrainian soldiers are so grateful to those people for taking care of our refugees, because it's very important for us to know that our women, children, and relatives are safe, and that they don't require some basic things to live. So thank you very much, and we all appreciate it very much here in Ukraine. And regarding that actor, what was his name once again?
Let me see if I can.
I should be able to scroll back up.
It's Eugene. Looks like Eugene Hoot or Hut.
Yeah. Here, I'll bring it up on screen.
Okay, just a second. Unfortunately, I don't think I know him. I'm not really into movies this time. I don't really have time to watch them, unfortunately. But I gotta learn more about this man.
Okay. Let's see. Sorry, just sorting through some questions. I actually have one of my own, and we talked about it just a little bit kind of beforehand, but and actually the thing that reminded me of it is back during World War II, the Nazis were under all sorts of hoodoo and talk about black magic and everything else. But in the last video you were doing on Victory Day, you were discussing, you showed it was the head of their space agency that belonged to a Nazi party. I don't know if he still does or not. You said he had previously. They're selling this idea that they're coming in to overwhelm Nazi forces in Ukraine, and yet on their side, they've got Nazi rhetoric throughout the Victory Day speech. Does that really sell, or is this all, because my impression is this all just talk, it's all just justification for them to do what they want to do, and then once the soldiers actually hit the ground in Ukraine, are they still up for the fight, or by that point, do they know it's just, to put it bluntly, bullshit?
So this Rogozin, chief of their space program, he's like Elon Musk, only in Russia. Okay, so and I think that he's one of the biggest rivals of Mr. Elon. And by the way, big thanks to Mr. Elon for Starlinks. They're big help for our troops. He was basically a member of Russian far-right party called Russian National Unity. So in Russian, it's called RNE, Russian National Unity. He participated in a bunch of their meetings and protest actions back in his days. So there's a big amount of his pictures with those Nazis, and those are like real ones. So a person who is a Nazi must do something to be called a Nazi, to prove himself in being Nazi. It's like either claiming some Nazi things or doing some Nazi things, like beating people of another race or things like that, which is basically what he did. So he was participating in those meetings, saying stuff like quote, Jewish people are the scariest thing today is Jewish fascism. And basically this was absolutely the same thing that Lavrov, their Minister of External Affairs, said. So basically, Russians are calling Nazis everybody who stands against Russia. And it, for example, the reason why Lavrov said that was that he was given an interview, and he was asked, like, how can you call President Zelensky a Nazi if he is a Jewish Ukrainian? He is not, not a person that looks like a white, white Nazi. So he said, yes, but people of Israel, like Jewish people, are proved to be the biggest anti-Semites in the world, or something like that, which totally in Israel, the reaction was incredible. So they demanded an apology from this idiot for saying that, and they said that during Holocaust, Jewish people were not killing each other. So
Wow.
yeah, so they basically call Nazis everybody who stands against Russia. So currently they are calling Nazis like the whole world. And I'm not even kidding, because analyzing their messages that were shared even in Ukrainian society, like from their pro-Russian parties, Russia-controlled pro-Russian parties in Ukraine. Yeah, they claimed that NATO was a fascist alliance, creating to destroy this God's chosen, non-Nazi, but God's chosen nation of peaceful Russians.
Yeah, it's the idea that you discussed before, from the sounds of it, Ruski Mir, the Russian way of life that they want to spread to every bit of what used to be the USSR and beyond if they can. It looks like we have a few more super chats as well, so I'm going to hand off to Aimee, and then we'll go to Dave.
Thank you so much. We've got a super chat from Brian for €5. Says, thanks, Starsky. Lots of Ukrainian people now in Ireland. Wonderful people. Everyone glad to help. Thank you so much, Brian. Then we have Commander 401 for $9.99. American says, Mehdi Hassan on MSNBC did a special on Putin's favorite philosopher, and that guy was a Nazi. I forgot the guy's name. Thank you so much,
Ouch.
Commander. Yeah. Then Mickey Barkus for $9.99 says, can you share a bit about your friend Alexander, who gave his life, so we can know and remember him? Thank you so much, everyone.
Well, I think.
Yeah, so sorry for interrupting.
No, please.
So Alexander was Ukrainian journalist. As soon as this war started in 2014, he was a military. So he was a journalist who volunteered to be a military, and he served in Donbass for quite a while. And then he returned to his journalist career. And Alexander was our military, combat reporter for Ukrainian media. So he always participated in making reports from the most dangerous areas of Donbass, from the front lines. He was always with my brigade in the area of so-called Svetlodarsk Bulge. It was an area where my brigade was deployed in 2019, where we also lost 3 of our men. And he was always, he always enjoyed life at 100%. No matter what happened, he was always smiling, and he was a real hero, in my opinion. And yes, after the beginning of this invasion, he decided to return to the army, and unfortunately he died during combat. He received multiple wounds from fragments during the artillery strike. And yes, unfortunately, he died. I remember that I was, reading his Facebook, and I thought, like, dude, we got to celebrate our victory anyways, because we saw each other like once in a while when we were on the front lines, and we were like friends, but we didn't have much opportunity to see each other. So I thought, dude, we gotta celebrate together, because like we see each other so we don't see each other so often, And yes, then I received information that he unfortunately died during combat. And one of my friends on Instagram, she's an artist, and she made his portrait, and I think that I have it on my Facebook. So yeah, that's Alexander. He was always happy, smiling, and when times were hard to us, he was always able to motivate us with his smile and with his spirit. So yeah, we will miss him.
Imagine.
Yeah, I think a lot of people
So sorry
underestimate.
about that.
Sorry, yeah. I think a lot of people underestimate the danger you guys put yourselves in, because you're going out as theoretically non-combatants. You're going into a combat area without a firearm, so you are still very much in danger in those situations. I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Dave. You had a question, sir?
I did. I'm actually going to change the question because of everything Starsky just said, because that's a very touching story. And one thing I always used to do on my podcast back in the day is, if we had the heavy topic, we always went to a much happier place straight away. So I've got to ask the other question instead. So Starsky, I think it was yesterday, you posted on your community tab on your YouTube channel about your dog. And I have to say, I'm living on the farm, and we got a dog on Tuesday. So if you hear any yapping in the background, that's probably Archie. He's I think he's a terrier cross. I don't actually know too much about dogs. I'm still learning. I took him out for a walk last night. So one thing I was going to ask, one of the silent victims of war are pets and animals, some of which get left behind. And so I'm sure you come across strays now and again. Is there a place for these animals to go at all? Do they get rescued? What happens to them?
So on the front lines, dogs basically live with our soldiers. I have a lot of videos of our guys sharing their underground shelters with the dogs. In 2019, during our deployment on the Svetlodarsk Bulge, one of our guys, he was a chief on one of our positions. So I think he's had like 5 or 6 dogs that were living with them in the shelter.
Wow.
There was like 5 men and like 5 or 6 dogs, and they were huge stray dogs like we have here in Ukraine. And the volunteers sent him the food, for dogs, and they were sending him like those huge bags that he would pick up at the post office. And we have a lot of volunteers that take care of stray dogs or dogs that have lost their owners. We have this big volunteer movement here in Ukraine. They protect animals, and they put a lot of efforts into saving those poor pets. You probably saw this cat from Borodyanka. So basically, like the multi-story house was partially destroyed, and this cat was trapped. I think on the 7th floor or something like that. So he was trapped there for like a couple of weeks, and I'm not sure what it was eating, but this cat was very thin, and yeah, and later it was saved by our rescuers, and currently it's very famous here in Ukraine because this cat is very similar, to that grumpy cat, that popular
The meme, yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny.
So yeah, and this cat, it's not even grumpy. It's like it's angry, like an angry cat, angry for everything that Russians did to him. So you gotta Google cat from Borodyanka, and I think that you will find him. And yeah, he's very cute, even despite being angry, because he's Ukrainian cat.
That's fantastic. I just want to follow up with that as well, because we've got mainly the only other animal we have in the farm, I should say, is horses. So I don't know if you ever come across anything like that, or something a bit more exotic.
Oh my God! Yeah, I know this man from Bucha. So his story is crazy. He was an owner of stables near Hostomel, and himself and his wife, he lived in Bucha. So he showed me a video made right after this stables with his horses was burned down, and it was crazy. So he was only able to save 2 horses, and he was taking those horses everywhere with him in his truck, and the rest of his horses unfortunately died in the fire. He showed me that video with those remains of those horses. It was horrible, unfortunately.
I bet.
Yeah, and yeah, that's his story. So he told me that they lived under occupation. I think Kadyrovites were in their area, and they told them to GTFO, otherwise they will be killed. So on the April 9th, I think they decided to, no, it was March 9th. So they decided to learn what happens in general in that area. So they had no internet and no access to information. So from spare parts, they created a radio station, and they learned that there's gonna be an evacuation corridor. So they gathered a column of cars that wanted to leave Bucha and go to Kiev. Unfortunately, this corridor was blocked by Russians, so they were risking their lives and leaving Bucha on their own, and they were lucky enough to make it. So after this city of Bucha was liberated, actually it's like a town. It's smaller than a city. So after it was liberated, we met that man with his wife and his horses that were in the truck. We met them in Bucha, and he told us this story. It was crazy. Those videos with those poor horses, it was completely horrible.
Yeah, that would just break my sister's heart if something like that were to happen. Yeah, I can only imagine what that's like. Yeah, sad. It's sad. Has Lokifish got anything more positive for us?
Yes, I do, actually.
Good.
Operator Starsky, as always, we are glad to have you on with us. My question is, on Victory Day, Yandex, our YouTube, search engines, and even smart TVs in Russia were hacked to show anti-war messages like TV and authorities are lying to you, and the blood of thousands of Ukrainians, hundreds of murdered children is on your hands. What do you think of the Russian hackers showing such a risky kind of support for Ukraine?
Not sure whether they were Russian hackers, because Russian hackers are known for hacking, different establishments in the US, in the UK, in the West in general, as well as in Ukraine. I know that a lot of Russian hackers are involved into serving Russian FSB. So, yeah, I'm sure that there's a lot of decent men and women, because a lot of their IT specialists actually wanted to go to Ukraine. I mean, like moving to Ukraine because of all those sanctions and stuff. So there was a lot of discussion on IT forums about moving to Ukraine. So yeah, there's a chance that they are responsible for that. I think that it was effective, but in this case, they need something more than that. So they need either to shut down their media or do something like that, because Russians put a lot of money into propaganda. So according to our Council for Security and Defense, in 2018, they've spent from around $2 to $4 billion on external propaganda, and that's just top of the iceberg. You can imagine just how much money are spent in Russia for doing this propaganda, brainwashing, not only their own citizens, but I'm talking about Western society as well. They spend a lot of money to invest into their bloggers. Luckily, they will not be so accessible anymore, because Russia has blocked Instagram and Facebook and TikTok, I think, in Russia, because they claim that Facebook and Instagram are extremist social networks. So congratulations, guys. You are extremists as well as me. And I think that in order to combat that kind of funds, right, that Russia has, that Russia invests into their propaganda, we have to have something like more efficient. So yeah, that was a nice action, in my opinion, but it was a short-term action, and we need something more efficient.
Should we,
Sorry,
should we hand it over to Aimee quick and get that? We missed a super chat in, and we also have a Streamlabs donation that got skipped as well.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And I have those right now. We had a super chat from Dee Reynolds for $2 American, says soon Putin will blame Ukraine for the biblical flood. That sounds about right. Thank you so much, Dee. And also we have from Captain Honor, they donated Canadian $10, says, I was wondering what Starsky would say to people who try to use the Euromaidan clash to justify Putin's actions, the incident in Odessa, etc. I've had to deal with them lately and wondered what his input on that is on that part of Ukrainian history. Thank you so much, Captain.
Thank you so much for your question. I participated in Euromaidan Revolution. We call it Revolution of Dignity. And I think that, provoking Russia to invade Ukraine, it's kind of silly to say that, because what kind of country gets provoked by such things? Only the country that already had intention to occupy and annex the territories of other country. That's the only reason why Russia annexed Crimea and occupied Donbass, because they had such intention. So in 1992, Russia already attempted to create such so-called referendum in Crimea. So they disseminated their Russian passports among the population of Crimea. Luckily, our security service, as well as internal, we call them internal army, that was like National Guard, okay? First there was National Guard, then internal army, and now it's National Guard again. So our security service, including and National Guard, were able to stop that. And there was even a minor conflict with the admiral of their fleet, who actually wanted to use his military power in order to support those people, those so-called activists who wanted referendum for joining Russia. And it was like 20 years ago, exactly. So yeah, that's, no, it was like 30 years ago, 1992. So yeah, they already had that intention. They always planned to take Crimea because it was such a yummy piece of land, and it was their strategic location to station their fleet and control the Black Sea, of course. So it wasn't Euromaidan. They only used this opportunity to invade Ukraine. So they have this medal given to random participants of this annexation. And I think that on this medal, it reads, for liberating Crimea. I gotta check it, but I think it's like February 28th. Yeah, it's February 28th, I think, or 20th, something like that. So it's for liberating Crimea in the end of February 2014. And Crimea is a huge piece of land, and preparation for liberating this piece of land requires a lot of reconnaissance, a lot of logistical preparation. It requires, training specific troops, like their special forces, and it takes quite some time, like months. So we can talk that this preparation probably started even before this revolution, probably in October, maybe September even. So they were preparing for that like in the middle of 2013, actually.
We should hand over to Aimee and get caught up here. We've got a few to cover.
We do. Thank you so much. The first one is from Wayne the Sen for 20 American dollars, says, God bless Ukraine and all of her supporters. Thank you so much, Wayne. We also have one from Paolo Carradini for 20 euros, who says, you are amazing. Thank you so much, Paolo. We also have one from Garth McKeel for Canadian $5, says, I watch Zokin's videos, always surprised by the apathy of the Russian families. Quote unquote, not political. Putin knows what he's doing. No critical thought. Then we have one from Level 70 for Canadian $13.99, says, if Ukraine does get back Crimea, how will the Ukrainian government deal with all the Russians that illegally moved there since 2014? And then we did have a member message as well. From Graham Price, member for 20 months, says, great to see so many viewers and new members. Thank you so much, everyone. Appreciate it.
Thanks. Awesome.
Yeah, so regarding this question of Russians who illegally moved to Crimea, it's not the biggest problem, believe me. We have a lot of such problems that we will have to solve in the future. For example, areas of Donbass, I'm talking about Donetsk and Luhansk, are being occupied since 2014, which is 8 years exactly. And during this time, a whole generation of young people were born and they went to school. And those children have never, ever heard a word in Ukrainian language. So they were basically studying in the schools of artificially created states that retranslate all that Russian propaganda regarding Ukrainian Nazis, Nazi Ukrainian government, Nazi not NATO, Nazi West, and stuff like that. And those kids who were born on Ukrainian land, but they didn't hear a word in Ukrainian language. That's one of the problems that we will have to solve. Of course, there will be other problems, but in my opinion, helping to reintegrate people who fell victims to Russian propaganda requires not just, explaining them the truth. It doesn't work like that. I think that it requires help of, specialists. And I have no idea where we will take those specialists from. So we will need huge assistance from our Western colleagues in the future regarding such problems. So this ideology of Ruski Mir, Russian world, has resulted in big problems that we got to deal with in the future. And there's much more to that than meets the eye.
And it looks like we have one more up, Aimee.
Yes, we do, please. We certainly do. From Junebug72, $18 American, says, always appreciate listening to Operator Starsky. Slava Ukraini, and Ukraine will win. Thank you. Thank you so much,
Nice.
June.
Thank you very much.
Okay, and did we still have a Streamlabs tip, Dick, or are we good?
I think we're good right now. I'm just going to double check, but yeah, as far as Streamlabs been really slow tonight in some ways. So it's one of those things where it could just be late, but I'll let you know. No worries.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. Thank you. And actually, we had discussed last week kind of, talking. Oh, looks like we have another super chat up. You were a super popular guy, sir.
Hey.
You want to handle that?
Yes, please. We've got Dr. Nimrod for 55 Swedish krona, says, please give Lieutenant Starsky a big salute on his excellent English. Thank you so much. His English is excellent. Thank you.
Thank you
right.
so much, my friend. I'm still learning, and talking to you guys is a great opportunity for me to learn English, learn new words, and opportunity to learn how to spell them correctly. So I've been told that I pronounced ration in a wrong way. I said ration instead of ration. So yeah, I learned that, and I know that Ukrainians have problem with pronunciation of V and W. So I'm working on that as well. And thank you very much, my friends, for pointing that out.
Yeah,
Cool.
you've got excellent English. It's a hell of a lot better than any of our Ukrainian. I'll tell you that.
Yes.
I was just going to say, half the people that speak English here can't speak English anyway, so you fit in just fine.
Quite right.
You speak it better than some of the native speakers. Yeah, it's pretty bad. Thank you, but you do an amazing job. So
Sure. Yeah. Actually, I wanted to ask about that. I know that you said you had a degree in journalism, and then you're also a commissioned officer in the military. Which one came first, and what kind of led you to where you are at right now?
Okay, so I finished university. I graduated as a public relations specialist. And yeah, I worked in a bunch of international organizations, including the World Bank Group, including projects of the United States Agency for International Development and other agencies for strategic communications. And yeah, I've had opportunity to travel quite a lot around the world. And after the beginning of this war in Ukraine, I decided to continue my family tradition that is serving in the army, because my dad was a military and his dad was a military, and we have this tradition in our family. So I joined the Special Forces Battalion of Police. It was a voluntary battalion created in Kiev in the beginning of 2014. And next year, after 2 deployments to Donbass, I joined the National Guard, this new brigade that I still serve at. So this brigade was a brigade of rapid response of the National Guard of Ukraine, was created specifically to fight against hybrid Russian threats on East. So we were designed for combat, so to say. And what's interesting about this brigade is that it was created involving the experience of NATO countries. So we were like one of the first Ukrainian brigades that learned experience of NATO countries. We learned NATO protocols and procedures. Our officers learned MD, MP, we learned TLP, and stuff like that. So, and we also implemented the NCO Corps in our brigade, which was very, very important. So, for example, in Russia, their surgeons suck because they are just like any other soldier in Russian army. So they literally pick a soldier and tell him, dude, you will become a surgeon. And there's literally no difference between Russian soldier and Russian surgeon at all. While in Western countries, surgeons, NCOs are the core of the whole military. So they need to they have to stay with their troops like 24/7. They have to know like all the problems, all the needs of their troops, of their subordinates, and they need to know, for example, the plan of their unit on the level of company, for example, and be able to command their troops in case their officer gets, eliminated. So it's a very responsible position, and in our brigade we have implemented that. I had an honor to be a sergeant, first sergeant of my company, and Yeah, later, somehow, my commander learned that I've had this high education, so he offered me to become a press officer for my brigade. Of course, I didn't want that at the beginning because I wanted to stay with my infantry battalion and stuff like that. But again, we are military people here, so we follow orders, and that's basically my story.
Okay, yeah, the NCOs over here are the backbone as well. A lieutenant will just completely drown without a sergeant or if he's too arrogant to listen to him. I'm gonna actually hand it over to Amy real quick. We've got a few more super chats up.
Yes, we do, please. We had one from Critter John for $1.99 that had no message. Thank you so much. We'll make sure that if you have a comment or question, we'll make sure that gets priority. Thank you so much. We have one from Level 70 for Canadian $6.99. Says, what's Starsky's favorite drink? Please don't say Russian vodka. Then we have one from David Oliver for £5 sterling. Says, I'm sub to Operator Starsky and Dennis Davidoff, both brilliant. Thank you so much. And then we have, Critter John for $4.99. The message was retracted, but thank you so much. And then we had one from Rudy Rudisil for $5 American, and that has no message as well. So if you have any questions or comments, we'll make sure that they get priority. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you for your question. So regarding drinks, I don't really remember what that is. And yeah, so we don't drink here currently. Well, I don't drink like 100% during this invasion, and at my age, even drink doesn't bring such a pleasure as a nice food, for example. So my favorite drink is a protein shake, actually, because before the invasion, I used to attend my gym very often, and currently I don't have such an opportunity because I called my coach, and he said that currently this gym is being used as a bomb shelter, which is nice in any perspective. And as for Denis Davidov, the pilot blog, so I've been following Denis for years because I'm a huge fan of aviation, and I subscribed to Denis because he is a pilot of Boeing 737, and 737 is probably one of my favorite airplanes in the Microsoft Flight Simulator. So yeah, I've been following him for quite a while, and then I realized that he's a Ukrainian pilot, and Denis has probably 1 million subscribers, which is crazy. It's a big success. So great success, like Borat says. So I was amazed, and later, when this invasion started, Denis joined the territorial defense. So this person was my idol, and now he is my legend, literally. So I respect this man very, very much. And actually, a lot of people who I was subscribed to, they either joined territorial defense or participated in combat. Our famous musician, the one who sings the song together with Deep Purple, for example, Andriy Khlyvnyuk. So he was wounded in a combat, and I didn't expect that heroism from so many people. So I even feel sorry for that, so yeah, those people are true heroes in my eyes.
Very cool, very cool. It's always great when your heroes live up to your expectations. And then the super chats are still pouring in, so I'm going to hand
Well,
right
let's-
back to Aimee.
Well, I wonder, Aaron, should we let Monkey have a turn and then we can get the super chats wrapped in? He has been waiting a while, right?
Okay, yeah, very cool.
Yeah.
We can do that. You want to go ahead, Monk?
Yes. Hello, everybody. Oi, people. All you wonderful people out there. Firstly, I'd like to say I have stopped drinking Russian vodka. I'm trying to do my bit. But it's good to see so many people in the chat. My family of Shills. Starsky, you are a member of the family now. But not just you. Your entire nation of brave, patriotic, super proud, loving, and insanely inspirational Ukrainian people have been welcomed by the entire, well, I say by the most of the world. I mean, there are some deluded, indoctrinated people, you know, that for some reason or another buy this awful genocide. But, you know, our little show is giving a platform for a voice. And I think that any chance for any voice to be heard to anybody is a counter-strike against the propaganda put out by Putin and a strike against the misinformation on the internet. I hope Kutch is good, by the way, Starsky. Dogs are amazing, smart, intelligent animals, and he must be an absolutely amazing moral boost because I know I've got 3 dogs and they will always pick me up. I wanted to know, as you mentioned, like the family tradition of the army, are there any members of your family that have no military background that are also fighting?
No, I don't think so. So, my great grandpa was fighting against Russians, by the way, 100 years ago. It was like a chance for Ukraine to become an independent state, and then communist Russia, Bolshevik Russia attacked Ukraine, just like they did this year. Then my grandpa was fighting against Nazi Germans in the World War II, and my dad was a military. He participated in big amount of conflicts, and he was one of those officers who formed armed forces of Ukraine, and later he participated in peacekeeping operations in former Yugoslavia. And he was also a press officer, so he made a documentary about Ukrainian peacekeeping battalion that was operating in Yugoslavia, in former Yugoslavia, in Sarajevo. So yeah, I don't have that many relatives, unfortunately, so I cannot tell whether they are fighting. My cousin, he's like brother to me, so he is a civilian, but again, I didn't expect it from him, but he is a badass, because as soon as this war started 8 years ago, he helped to he used his own car as a volunteer, and he helped to move civilians from occupied cities under fire. And he was like, he got into accident because of enemy fire. He crashed, he was wounded and stuff like that. And he does the same today, pretty much. So when Russians were occupying Irpin and Bucha and Hostomel, he was helping to take those people to safety from those places. And again, he was in a big danger. And my brother that currently lives in Australia, he also helps because there's a lot of Russians actually coming to countries that offer refuge for Ukrainians, and they pretend to be Ukrainians. So in Australia, there was this scandal when some girl arrived to Australia and said that she was a refugee from Kharkiv, And later she posted pictures in her Instagram where she was like topless with Russian flag, hanging out on some yacht with some rich dude, you know. So and my brother helps his local Ukrainian community in Australia to find such people, because they are, you know, they are pain in the ass actually. So yeah, I'm very proud of what my relatives do. And of course, I'm very proud of my father, who is proud of me, of course, you know, because I don't think that he expected me to become military as well, but I did, and yeah, I think that we are mutually proud of each other. I think it's beautiful.
That's cool.
That
Awesome.
is so cool. Thank you. We've got some super chats to get caught up on, please. We have one from Rudy Rudisil for $5 American, says, wants to say hi, and I am here to support Starsky. He knows who I am. Then we have Big Dog CNC for $5 American, says, how do you know where a Russian 300 fought? If he comes home with one arm, he was at Chernobylivka, and then if he comes home with three, he was at Chernobyl. I like that one. That was brilliant. Thank you. We have one from Thomas Field.
That was a nice one, actually. Thank you.
I love that one. That was my favorite. That was brilliant. Thank you, Big Dog. Then we have one from Thomas Field for 100 Norwegian krona, says, I have made a solution for Norwegian National Guard in Ukraine. Would love to discuss this with you for deploying this to Ukrainian troops. Thank you so much. Then we have Egil Anderson for 20 Norwegian krona, says, how old is Operator Starsky? And then we have Critter John for $4.99, says, can we get an update on the Ukrainian Navy? Are they even still operating any ships? And then we have Mr. Hominoid for Australian $5. It has no message, but if you have a comment, just let us know and we'll make sure it gets priority. Ether Joe 505 for $10 American says, salute Operator Starsky. You may know famous Canadian sniper while he served in Ukraine. He actually had some criticisms about organization of Ukrainian forces. Maybe there are lessons to be learned from his experience. Thank you so much, everyone. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you very much. So relating to Ukrainian ships, yes, we have a bunch of them. We don't have a lot of huge ships, but we have quite a lot of those smaller attack vessels. And yeah, we are still using them. So one of those smaller vessels was used during, I think it was like a week or two into this invasion. So this smaller vessel got very, very close to Russian transport ship that was stationed near Odessa, and they used their 30 millimeter cannon and made some holes in the ship, so it was damaged. And I think it was kind of successful attack. We've had that on the news as well. And as for volley, yeah, of course, Ukrainian army has flaws. There's a lot of them. A lot of our units are very different. So some units have better supplies than other units. Some units have better training than other units. And of course, during the war, during combat, a lot of things may happen. So of course there's a lot of flaws, and nobody is perfect, let's call it this way. We know that for sure. So yeah, that's basically, I think that every army has a flaw, and if you want to survive, you gotta learn how to solve those problems, of course.
Well, one of the great things about the Ukrainian Navy, as opposed to the Russian Navy, they like to stay on the surface.
Yeah. Yeah. We would like to thank the Russian Navy at this point in time for providing us with material to build what could be new coral reefs. Thank you.
Yeah. And we did have a comment from Mr. Hominoid who said, will Starsky ever come to Australia? And I hope to show you as a former Sydney Olympics 2000 ambassador. Sydney and Byron Bay, most easterly point, unique tourist attraction. Thank you so much, Mr. Hominoid.
Awesome.
Yeah, I would like to go to Australia sometime, because I think that in the future, after this war is finished and we are victorious, I think that I gotta travel to every country and say thank you to people who supported Ukraine. So I think that I will do that for sure. So thank you very much for invitation.
Oh, we love to have you over here. Don't you worry about that.
Starsky, I've got a few questions for you. Now, tonight was the start of the Eurovision Song Contest, which I'm sure you're really absolutely enthralled about. We got to hear the Ukrainian entry, which was interesting, and yeah, still going to win. And also, I mentioned to my daughter, I said, do you think NATO's can have an entry this year? And she said, yeah, Finland. What do you think Putin's going to think about when Putin joined NATO? When, I mean, Finland has probably one of the largest armies in Europe, and that's not going to be much fun for Putin to now have on his borders directly. He saw Ukraine as a threat. Now, what's he going to think about Finland?
Thank you for your questions. So as for Eurovision, yes, there's this Kalush orchestra representing Ukraine this year. Ukraine have already won some contests, I think, a bunch of them.
I think you're right.
Yeah, I think a couple of them. Yeah, they are great guys. So here we had this big scandal during this selection program to Eurovision. So one of their biggest rivals, who received a lot of votes, but still she got cancelled, and the reason was during the war. So I think it was in 2015, maybe in 2017. So she traveled to Moscow, and it's like, it's kind of weird, because it's like, okay, I'm fighting here in Ukraine and stuff, and yeah, we have those enemy who invaded, but I'm just gonna briefly fly to Moscow and just have a nice time. It's crazy. Do you agree with me? So they canceled her, and I think it was a correct decision, because if you are an opinion maker, at least you gotta have some self-respect.
Yes.
Yeah. So
it comes with responsibility. You don't just get to be some loudmouth, right?
Yeah, totally. So so this Kalush orchestra received a chance to represent Ukraine. Of course, we will be trying at least to watch this competition. Actually, Eurovision is my open wound. Why? Because in 2017 we had Eurovision in Ukraine, and I wanted to go to Eurovision so bad. I wanted to attend this beautiful concert, see those beautiful people and stuff. Unfortunately, I was freaking deployed. So I remember I was launching and I was shooting RPG at those pro-Russian positions, and on this propelled grenade, I wrote words. This is for not letting me attend Eurovision, you bastards.
Well, you know, Starsky,
Amazing.
you've painted a completely new image of you in my mind now. I can see spangly boob tubes and platform heels. That's what I want to see now from now on from you.
No, but you know, it was embarrassing because of this stupid Russian invasion in Ukraine. I missed Eurovision. What can be worse than that? So yeah, I was very angry at Russians even back in 2017. Not mentioning 2014, of course.
Now, one of the things people have been saying in the chat is your wonderful sense of humour. So I was just wondering, do you think you could tell us a joke, but in Ukrainian?
Nice one.
Oh my God. So I know a bunch of them. You want to hear it in Ukrainian language, or you want?
Absolutely, it's got to be in Ukrainian, otherwise we won't get it.
Yes, please.
Make it dirty. YouTube won't know.
Yes.
Everyone's going to be getting Google Translate on this one.
Yeah, well, it gives everyone an opportunity to come back and listen to the show twice, and they can run it through Google Translator.
Good point.
Okay, so let me pick a short one. So голодний москаль іде по вулиці і бачить українця з великим собакою, який сидить на узбіччі і щось їсть. Голодний москаль підходить до нього і питає: а что это у вас такое вкусненькое здесь, оно так вкусно выглядит? Той каже: та ось сідай, бери, тут сало, цибуля, м'ясо, ось тут борщик стоїть. Ну, у вас же такая страшная собака, она меня, наверное, укусит. А то ж. So, yeah.
We're just waiting.
No.
Is it
Hold on.
finished?
Well, one sec here. I have a challenge to everybody watching. Use the YouTube clips feature. Go back and make a clip of that and share it with everybody on your own channels. And let's see how far we can get this to spread.
Can I just ask everybody in the chat to put a thumbs up if you actually did understand that joke?
Oh, don't tell me you didn't get it, monkey.
Oh, I
Yeah,
got
just
it. Of course, I got it. It's just, yeah. It's hilarious.
Laughing at the translation. It said something about a Honda and the Queen.
Okay, so I can translate it for you.
Yes.
Okay, so a very hungry Russian is walking down the street, and there he spots a Ukrainian with a huge angry dog, and the Ukrainian is just sitting on the sidewalk and eating something. And this hungry Russian comes to him and says in Russian, "Oh, I see you are eating something good. It looks very good." And the Ukrainian is like, "Yeah, sure. You can sit here and have some Ukrainian salo and borscht, and there's onion and stuff." And Russian is like, "But you have this big angry dog. It will bite me for sure." And Ukrainian is like, "Yes, you're right."
The dog's going to beat me to it, because if the dog doesn't bite you, I'm going to bite you.
I have a nice joke. So in Russian jokes about Ukrainians, and this is a nice one. So in all Russian jokes about Ukrainians, they picture Ukrainians as, those greedy, stupid people, cowardish people, and stuff like that. But in Ukrainian jokes about Russians, they are mostly dead.
Wow.
Okay. So I tell you, I take it you do have jokes with each other because, like, obviously, the English, Irish, and Scotsman jokes are something that are big, and we also have a pop at the Welsh, and I'm sure that they all have a pop at the English. But I guess, yeah, you must do it with the Russians and other countries.
You'd have to.
Yeah. Do you do it with the Americans, Dick? Do you have jokes for them?
Oh yeah. A lot they don't like too.
I bet.
So you got.
Looks like we've.
Yeah, you gotta understand that in Ukrainian army, we are all into this dark humor so much, and I think it's like tradition in Ukrainian army to tell dark jokes. So we have a lot of that here.
I think all militaries are like that.
Yeah, but
it looks like we actually got a couple of super chats up, so I'm going to hand it off to Aimee really quickly.
Yes, please. We do. We have one from level 70 for Canadian $6.99 says, will Starsky do a video with the famous Belarusian mustache volunteer? And then we also had one from Thomas Field for 100 Norwegian krona says, helped 100 plus families out of Ukraine through EU and into Norway. Question to Starsky, a lot want to return with kids. Trying to say it's premature. What do you think and what are your counter arguments? Thank you so much, the both of you.
Oh, can you repeat the last question, please?
Oh, of course. Yep. Yeah, it was, he said, a lot want to return with kids, like 100 plus families that he said that went into Norway from Ukraine. He says a lot want to return with kids, trying to say it's premature. What do you think and what are your counter arguments?
A lot of them want to return with kids, right?
Yes.
Okay, I see. So regarding this mustached Belarusian volunteer, I would love to meet this guy and shake his hand because he is actually. So there's this Belarusian community that is in opposition against Lukashenko and like post-Soviet type of mentality that is popularized by Lukashenko. So they are basically using that old Belarusian flag that comes from Soviet Union, those old times, and of course they want their country to be a developed European country, like us Ukrainians want to have Ukraine as developed and successful European country as well. And those guys were forced to come to Ukraine because they were repressed in Belarus a lot, like our friend Clapperjack. I think he has the same story.
Yes, very much so.
Mm-hmm.
Very much.
Yeah. So those guys are probably the representatives of best Belarusian blood. That's what I can say. So those guys are incredible what they do because they understand that defending Ukraine against Russian invaders it's a step forward to free Belarus. I think they will gain a lot of experience here, not only combat experience but also experience of building a democratic country. And we do all we can to provide those people with shelter here in Ukraine. Well, at least before the invasion, until Ukraine was safe enough, for their families. And yeah, we appreciate those people so much here in Ukraine, as well as those Russian people who again went to Ukraine to find shelter here, to find citizenship, and currently a lot of Russians fight in Ukrainian army against Russian invaders. I think that's another step towards democratic Russia, in my opinion. So yeah, I think that whenever I meet this, I think his name is Ivanov. So whenever I meet him, I will shake his hand because he's another hero. So yeah, that's the answer.
Yeah, it actually looks like we're coming right up on the 2-hour mark. I know that we're taking, time out of your sleep time. Can you spare us a little bit more, or do you need us to wrap up so you can hit the sack?
Yeah, sure. I'm still with you.
Okay, awesome.
Whoa.
Well, can I
we
ask
have-
a question going off of that?
Yeah,
What you
go
just
right
said.
ahead.
Yes, because Starsky, you were on the Enforcers stream last Sunday at ridiculous o'clock for you. It must have been really early. You must have finished the stream and had breakfast. But it was quite an amazing stream because it was the Sunday night. The Enforcer does his fundraising on that night, and you managed to raise $52,000 for Doctors Without Borders. That was quite an incredible achievement. Are you going to be doing more? Are you going to be doing more of that with him?
Yeah, I think so. I think we will be doing more because I've had a great time speaking with our viewers and answering the questions that are interesting for international community that I appreciate so much for their support. So I will be doing other streams with the Enforcer, hopefully. Also, he called me Enforcer Starsky instead of Operator Starsky by mistake. So I think I think it's a must.
Yes. Well,
Nice.
when you're over there, chill out this channel a little bit. Send those bastards over here.
Yeah.
So as for the time, it's okay totally because we are military people and we sleep whenever we can. So I can take a nap here and there, so it's okay.
Okay. I know Dave had some more questions. You want to ask one of those, or let me jump in?
One of my questions was on the Finland and Sweden NATO situation, but I wasn't sure if it was already asked by I think it was DKG. There was a second part to it as well, which was, what do you personally think of that situation and those specific threats of escalating the situation? I don't know what to make of it.
So I think that it's a choice of people who live in Finland. It's totally up to them, and of course, as a person who spoke a lot to NATO officers and representatives of NATO of different levels, we've had mutual military exercises with NATO countries in Ukraine multiple times. I totally support that because civilized countries must have some measures to protect each other. Civilized countries have this specific way of dealing with international problems. So whenever there's a problem, those problems are negotiated, unlike Russia does. Okay, so whenever there's a problem, Russia uses this problem for its own benefit. And you saw what they did in 2014 when we had this very difficult situation inside our country. Yeah, so that's their way of doing business. You probably remember that every time Russia does something like ridiculous, for example, you remember they shut down that Malaysian airplane over Donbass using their anti-air system. Yeah. So whenever such things happen, there's always some kind of terrorist act happening in Europe. So whenever Russia does something stupid, in order to, you know, distract attention of international society from that, there's always some kind of ISIS terrorist act in Europe happening, and everybody's shocked, you know. So I think, of course, that they have some influence on ISIS as well, of course. And by the way, if you want to know how I realized it, once I saw their the video made by like allegedly made by ISIS terrorists. It was a video dedicated to upcoming terrorist acts in Russia. And I was interested. I watched a bunch of their videos, and what was interesting was that those videos were so professionally made, and well, I can tell that you know, I saw other videos created by Al Qaeda, for example, and they look very amateur-ish. Okay, so they cannot do that. They don't have that ability. And one of the countries that does such a Hollywood level propaganda videos is, of course, Russia. So they have specialists that you know, specialize on doing such videos, because this video created by allegedly ISIS looks definitely like videos created by allegedly pro-Russian terrorists in those artificial republics in Donbass. It was like I've had the feeling that it was literally made by the same person. So I thought, come on, it can be possible, you know. So yeah, I think that they have influence on ISIS as well. I cannot prove that. I can only tell you what made me think so. So yeah, as for Finland, I think that it's the choice of their people, of course. And again, Ukrainians don't like to stick their noses into business of other countries, because we respect those decisions. And as for Finland, we are happy if this makes them happy and safe, of course.
Yeah, that's a very interesting theory. Just before we move back to Monkey, I just want to throw out there as well. I don't think I've expressed it on a previous stream. We in the UK obviously voted to leave the EU, and I've been a vocal opponent of Brexit. But has your application advanced at all? Has it been fast tracked? What do you make of that?
So we basically expect cooperation with the EU, and we expect to become a member of European Union as fast as we can, because again, we will have a lot of benefits. I'm talking not only about Ukraine, but of course countries of European Union. As you know, Ukraine is one of the biggest producers of food, crops, and vegetables and fruits, and of course we produce, at least we used to produce coal, and we are producing a lot of metal and a lot of things. We even produce space technologies. So we are producing rockets that bring satellites to the orbit, and it's widely used by European agencies. So yeah, I think it's going to be a mutual benefit, and I think that everybody realizes that. We like a lot of people in Ukraine were kind of disappointed by NATO not providing the no-fly zone over Ukraine, even despite the fact that providing their anti-air missiles, they partially closed this sky over Ukraine. But on the other hand, when European Union showed their total support of Ukraine, it was so unexpected, but it was such a pleasure for Ukrainians. So jokingly, we call ourselves a combat wing of European Union, because we currently realize that Ukraine is a shield that protects EU from Russian world, so to say.
Yeah, interesting. I mean, you definitely. Oh, go for it, Aaron.
Oh, I was just going to say, we've got a couple of super chats we need to hit really quick. And then Monk had a question. He's been waiting for a little bit. Someone hand it off to Aimee.
Okay, thank you so much. I just need to get through these super chats really quick. Thanks. We have Thomas Fjeld for 50 Norwegian krona says, I'm recommending refugees to wait to return until flights to Kiev resume. Starsky. And then we have one from Mr. Mustik for 100 Norwegian krona says, a Norwegian vest factory producing armored vests in Lviv before the war have resumed production in Poland. Due to EU support, their entire production will now be going over the border into Ukraine. Excellent. Thank you so much for both of you. So, yep. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, so regarding that question regarding kids, cities that are still under threat, and of course, I would say that all of Ukrainian cities are currently under threat of missile strikes. So we've had air alarm here in Kiev for like 2 times during like a couple hours in the evening. Russians have performed air missile strikes in Kharkiv today, and Chernihiv, I guess. So yeah, it's kind of dangerous currently. It's not as dangerous as on the very front line, and still there's a lot of people like in Mariupol. It's too dangerous for civilians to stay in those areas that are being occupied by Russians. We all understand that those massacres, like in Bucha, they can continue in those occupied cities. So we always ask those people to use every opportunity, every evacuation corridor, and every opportunity to get a shelter either on the controlled territory of Ukraine or on the territory of our friendly countries. So I don't really support the idea of returning with kids yet. I think that my comrades will agree with me, because we are all so much worried about our wives and kids. So yeah. And as for support of EU, that second question, I just want to say that in general, Ukraine had a lot of problems with different European countries in the past, like Poland, like Romania. We weren't always in good relations, and stuff like that. But I think that nowadays we can not like forget, but forgive each other, and we are doing a lot of progress in this direction, because after receiving for example, a Polish helmet that protects my life throughout this war since 2015. I will never say bad things about Polish people in my life. And I think that a lot of Ukrainian soldiers share this. After receiving, opportunity to give shelter to our families on the territory of Romania, our soldiers and our people in general will never say anything bad about those people in Romania. And I'm talking about whole world. So currently Ukraine is supported by so many countries, and we will always remember about this. So I think that, of course, after this war, we will have a incredible amount of friends all over the world, and we will be in a big debt for those people, and we will always be thankful and grateful to everybody who supports Ukraine currently in this war. So that's what I wanted to say. And again, I wanted to say thank you to all those people, because they are doing amazing job helping us.
Well, after this war
hopefully.
was over, I was going to suggest that we all meet up in a bar and I'll buy you a beer. But if you're going to just offer me a protein drink, I think I'll skip on that.
Good idea.
Yeah, you had a question, Monk?
Yeah, I'll get him drunk. Hey, listen, Starsky, you are, like I said earlier, you are family. The whole of your nation is absolutely been welcomed and loved, and it's because it's just is no debt. What this guy has to be stopped for humanity. I mean, this is the next Hitler. I nearly swore then. I get so wound up. I wanted to touch on when you mentioned Finland and Sweden joining NATO. I lived in Norway for 3.5 years. I went out there in 2001, and they still did national service. And my mate, who was in a base somewhere up north, woke up one morning literally to Russian ships right up close to the Norwegian waters. That would have been about 1999. So they've been at it forever, haven't they, really? But I got a question. I don't know whether you or anyone else on the panel have seen this Russian lady who lives in the US, and her cousin died in Ukraine. And obviously, she knows what's really going on because she lives in America, and she says she's literally had arguments with some of her family, but I mean, surely more and more Russian stories that are going to be collaborated from people that aren't shielded by Putin, and these people must begin to realize soon that this is wrong.
Yeah, I understand you. Yeah, we have asked Russians, I mean decent Russians, a lot about. So you probably heard about this revolution of dignity in Ukraine. The situation was very difficult because head of our pro-Russian party. And it's very interesting because this party basically united all oligarchs and bosses of mafia. And I'm talking like literal mafia, like, they were killing people for acquiring their businesses in the 90s in Ukraine. And now they are politicians. So that guy became a president, and the influence of his mafia spread all over Ukraine. So they were controlling everything, and of course the election of this guy Yanukovych, they were falsified. So he used all kinds of opportunity, all kinds of his power in local administrations and stuff to gain this power to rule forever. So he had this palace in Ukraine, near Kiev, in Mazhikirya. So it was crazy. The cost of this was so amazing. So like his curtains on his windows, I think they cost about like $millions, something like that. Curtains, you know, and that palace, after he ran away to Russia, that palace was used as a museum of corruption, because it was crazy to see. And yeah, we've had this revolution. So I also participated in this revolution as a protester, and we literally thought that we had no chance because this guy was a boss of mafia. So he comes from Donbass region, and Donbass is unfortunately known for their mafia that was very powerful in the 90s. And we thought that this guy would use all of his power to kill protesters, and in fact he did. More than 100 of protesters died. They sacrificed their life, so they were basically shot by snipers and by policemen that were using lethal weapon. So they were using AKs basically against unarmed protesters that were only holding like wooden shields that could only protect them against rubber bullets, but not from real bullets. And those protesters were dying like every day. I also lost my friends there. Yeah, but in Ukraine, in our anthem, we have those words saying that we will lay down our soul and our bodies for our freedom, because for Ukrainians, being free is the most important thing in the world. So it even causes a lot of problems actually for Ukrainians, because as you probably know, anarchy in Ukraine was literally implemented in 1920s. It was literally implemented for the first time, like in history. Okay, by one of our warlords known by the name of Makhno. Okay, so he was anarchist, and he implemented anarchy as a law. Okay, and it worked, which isn't. I'm not sure whether it's good or maybe bad, of course, but yeah, it worked. So Ukrainians are known for, we have a lot of smaller societies, like on the level of village, and we are happy to control the life in our village, control its prosperity, and have good relations with other villages. And we feel happy when it works this way. In case we have to unite over some kind of state ideology or something like that, in this case, we have a lot of problems as a nation, because, we have this saying, like, we have, in English, it will sound like we have 2 soldiers and 3 generals. So every Ukrainian knows better. Something like that. But yes, whenever we talk to those Russians, we ask, why don't you protest against Putin? And they say that we are afraid that we will get repressed or arrested or killed or something like that. And we're like, that's not an excuse. I mean, a lot of Ukrainians died on the Revolution of Dignity, on Maidan, defending their right to be a democratic European country. And our dictator, that maniac who literally killed people when he was a mafiosi, he had to flee to Russia. So currently he lives in Rostov. He's hiding there on the territory of Russia. And yeah, after that, we acquired a chance to build a democratic, free Ukraine and get closer with NATO countries, get closer with Europe. And Ukrainians actually evolved during that revolution. I can tell because before the revolution, I thought about literally moving out because I thought Ukrainians were hopeless. I swear. And then after that revolution, I learned something new about my nation. No, we can do better. Yeah. And I started to literally believe in Ukraine. So after that, the war has begun. And during this war, we've had this huge movement of Ukrainian volunteers bringing goods to Ukrainian army that didn't even have simple, armored vests. And those people were collecting money for that. And it was like the moment when I fell in love with my people, So I was so proud of them, and I still have this this feeling of being proud inside me, and it becomes even bigger with this invasion. So whenever I'm just moving too far from the topic. So whenever we speak to Russians and they are finding excuses, like they are either scared or something like that. So guys, that's not an excuse. Look at Ukraine. Look at what we did in order to make our dream come true. So, being arrested, even being killed, I mean, it's not an excuse because you don't have to be scared for yourself. You gotta be scared for future of your upcoming generations. That's what you're gonna think about.
That's cool, man.
It looks like we're coming up on about the half-hour mark. We got a couple of super chats I'm going to let Aimee kill, and then we will do a closing with a few brief goodbyes.
Sounds like a plan. Thank you very much. I've got some super chats here. We've got one from level 70. This is a question that I would feel uncomfortable asking and having answered because of the the logistics and everything. I'm afraid that you get it shut down. He wanted to know what his super chat was for $6.99 Canadian. So what I'm just going to say, thank you for your support. Thank you very much.
Yeah, this was talked about afterwards, and there was there's considerations about things that can't be said and so on because the powers that be and accounts and stuff, and so yeah, but level 70, big supporter of the channel. Thank you. Thank you
so much. Thank you very, very much. So, and then now I'm going to move on. Decula03 for $5 American says, does Starsky blame the US and the West for this war? And then we also have Leaf Spring Army for $10 American, says Operator Starsky. Thank you for all that you do. Have you noticed any deterioration in the Russian disinformation campaigns? Wondering if the sanctions will help choke off their troll farms. Thank you so much, everyone, for your support. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your questions. First of all, I'm not blaming Western countries. There's only one person to blame. That's, of course, Putin and those people who support Putin. That's you don't have to look for people to blame anywhere else. Truth is too simple to to be hidden behind some
no conspiracy needed, right, Starsky? It's right in front of our eyes.
Conspiracy theories. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I forgot the word. So yeah, truth is too simple to be hidden behind conspiracy theories. So there's Putin who literally attacks Ukraine and attacks civilized world. You gotta listen to what he says. You gotta listen to his statements about other countries, about being prepared to, fight against civilized countries of Europe. And that's it. You don't have to, imagine other things. And as for question by Livspring Army, so I've noticed a huge deterioration of their informational warfare. First of all, because their main channels of propaganda, like Russia Today, like a bunch of their blogs, were closed, and a lot of their bots, like I'm talking about the bot farms, they were also eliminated on Facebook and YouTube, of course. And of course, they made a great strategic mistake by blocking so-called extremist networks of Facebook and Instagram. And we are expecting that Roskompozor to block YouTube. I'm sure that they keep using it because they need at least some kind of influence over opinions of viewers, so they can throw their commentaries here and there. But again, I think that those huge money that they used to invest into their informational warfare, I think all those intentions failed. And I think that it's a great victory for us, because Russia has lost its influence over the Western audience. And that's very important.
Cool. Good shout, man. Good shout. Aimee, do you want to grab that one and then we'll get the round table in? She might be busy a sec.
Absolutely.
There we go. Okay,
Yes,
sorry.
Sorry, no, it's okay. I was just chasing Matt. He's getting restless. So I'll grab this super chat really quick. From Mr. Hominoid for Australian $5, says, can you surf? Alternate living at Byron Bay. Fruit juices galore. All my subs have subscribed to Starsky. Hope to see you in Australia. Love an email OS. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think that I gotta go to Australia as soon as this war is finished, because I realized that I have quite a lot of subscribers from Australia, and I appreciate every comment that you are leaving on under my videos. Unfortunately, and I'm so sorry to say this, I cannot reply to every commentary, because there's thousands of them. Some of them are disappearing for some reason. It's not like I'm deleting them. It's there's this artificial intelligence on YouTube that literally deletes some comments, thinking that they might be abusive.
We fight that too, Operator. Starsky is crazy, and sometimes for no you get a pop up and it's a plain question or comment. There's nothing wrong with it at all, and you can no longer find it. It's just gone.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I don't know how it works, because there are really decent comments, and as soon as I started replying, like writing a response for that comment, it just disappears. And then people start blaming me for deleting comments. I'm not deleting comments unless it's some kind of BS, from a Russian bot. So.
Well, Aimee wants to get the round tables going in, I think, Aaron. So is it that time? Should we?
Yeah, we've got one last super chat. I'll actually call it. It's from Susan Reichel for $5. Operator Starsky is so yummy. Well, okay. And then let's
you very much. I'm doing my best.
I'll go ahead and hand it off to Aimee and do some quick do a quick closing, because I know you got to hit the stack, and we'll close it out.
Excellent. Sounds like a plan. All right. Thank you so much, everyone. I want to thank everyone for coming, and I want to thank everyone for all of their support as well. Thank you so much. And I'm going to start with Mipet69. Mipet, what are your thoughts on this evening?
Hi, guys. Yeah, fantastically huge amount of information all at once. And yes, Operator Starsky, anytime you want to pop into Australia, we're right behind you down here. And I think you're going to get about 1,000 marriage proposals when this war's finished. You are very popular with the ladies. But Slava Ukraini.
Thank you very much. Героям слава.
Thank you so much, Mipet. And next up, we have DKG Custom. DKG, what are your thoughts on this evening?
Yeah, I misheard Aaron. I thought he said that Amy's going to hit the sack. You're not working tonight, are you? Anyway, now there was one thing I want to say. Yeah. What really pisses me off is the ground you're fighting for in Ukraine. There's so much blood been spilt on that land over the years. In fact, there's fucking layers of it. And there should not be any more blood spilt on that land in this modern world. That's all I can... It just doesn't make sense anymore. You know, this whole fucking bastards who just want to... anyway, never mind all that. But I will say this, Starsky, you've put a new image in your head about you, and there are several musicians and songwriters that we have connected with this channel. So we're going to start getting to work. And so next year, we're taking you and your team to Eurovision as the next winner, as the next entry. How about that, mate?
Sounds great. I got to learn how to play some instrument.
No, you don't have to worry about that. We can just, we'll just dub it all. Don't worry about that.
It's your vision.
We'll make you look good.
I can clap. That
will do just fine.
Yeah.
That will do just fine. We'll work on it.
There you go. That's perfect. Thank you so much. And next up, we have Jut Monk, the Drunk Monkey. Jut, what are your thoughts on this evening?
Yes, well, I mean, I've known and I've worked with Ukrainians over the years. Beautiful people, amazing people, beautiful women. Wow. But I have fallen in love with your nation and you people because of just what the show of courage you've shown the world. I mean, unfortunately, you've been put on the world stage, you know, in the worst case scenario. But you, my friend, are an amazing human being, and you reflect just how great the Ukrainians are. We've got houses in the UK flying your flag proudly, mate. The world's embraced you, and I have. Slava Ukraine.
Героям слава. Thank you very much, my friend. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. And next up, we have Dick Dawson. Dick, what are your thoughts on this evening?
Great information, great chat all around. I look forward to Thursdays and hanging out with our new friend Starsky so much. I hope you and yours and everybody associated with you stay safe, and victory soon. Slava Ukraini.
Героям слава. Thank you very much, my friend.
Thank you. And next up, we do have Operator Starsky. Operator Starsky, thank you so much for coming on and doing these updates with us every week. We thank you so much. And what are your thoughts on everything so far?
Great questions, a lot of unexpected questions. I hope that I was able to provide honest response to each of them. I'm sorry if I forgot to answer some of them. And yeah, it's always a great opportunity for me to learn English in the first place, and of course communicate with people from all around the world. It's a big pleasure for me, and I hope that in the future we will be able to communicate and meet and talk in person sometime, maybe in your country, because I think that yeah, I should definitely visit other countries and say thank you to everybody who supports my country in this hard time. So thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you so much. And it's been a pleasure getting to know you as well. Slava Ukraini. Thank you. And next up, we have Fallacy Dave. Dave, what are your thoughts and wrap ups on the evening?
As always, wonderful evening with the Shills. I always want to throw it back to Starsky as well. So, after the war is won, what's the first thing you dream of doing with your newfound freedom?
Whoa. We want to make sure, first of all, that this war never happens again, like for real, because when we say things like never again, we mean it. So we will make sure that it will never happens again, and we will make sure that we will make sure not to fail all of those countries that support us. I think because we owe them a lot now. So that's first thing that we're going to do with our freedom.
Well,
If I
we
may
have to
jump
remember
in.
not to fail you.
Yeah, definitely. I would just go out there and say on a limb, you owe us nothing. You deserve it.
I said
Thank you, my
exactly
friend.
that earlier.
Thank you.
I said you owe no debt whatsoever. This is for humanity. This is wrong, and this is for you guys. But next time, hopefully, you'll be a part of NATO, huh?
I hope so. I really hope so, because I have a lot of friends among those people in the UK, in the US, in Canada. We have a lot of friends, and we appreciate what they have taught us, what we have learned from them, because it's very helpful currently here in Ukraine.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you so much. And before I continue the wrap ups, we have one final super chat from Dee Dee Reynolds for $5 American. Says, Starsky, I can visit and teach you how to play the Doombek. I'm gay, so you wouldn't have to worry about me trying to marry you. Slava Ukraini. I love it. That's brilliant.
Hey, it's
Thank you so
2022.
much. Thank you.
I love it, Dee Dee. Thank you. That's brilliant. And last but not least, we have Aaron Reece. Aaron, what are your thoughts and wrap ups on this evening?
So Starsky, you never need to apologize for your language, you never need to apologize for the information you give us, because you tell us so much more about what's going on the ground than any of the news outlets. And we did a little different pace on the show today, kind of joked around a little more, found a little more about you, and I know the viewers enjoyed it, and we really enjoyed it. We love having you here. And I look forward. It's kind of bittersweet, because it'll be the day that we're not doing these shows and you are traveling the world. And I hope to one day see either a YouTube channel or you're on TV, newspaper, magazine, just going around seeing the world and visiting all the fans that you've had a chance to communicate.
Oh yeah.
So let's hope for that day very, very soon. Slava Ukraini.
Thank you, my friend. I'm not, I'm not trying to gain fans of me. I'm trying to gain fans of Ukraine, and that's my most important mission, I think, in this life. So, thank you very much, and it will be a pleasure for me to meet you guys in person. And yeah, I appreciate being part of your family.
Love it.
Thank
I
you.
expect
so
a holiday vlog. Holiday blogging around the world with Starsky.
That'd be brilliant.
That would be.
Yes.
Amazing.
Yeah.
All right.
So,
you want to close out, Aimee, or do you want me to take it?
Sure. Actually, if you don't mind, I'd like to say a few things. I want to thank everyone in the panel for coming tonight. Thank you so much. These have all been great. I want to thank everyone else in the chat as well. Thank you so much for coming, and thank you all so much for your support and your wonderful questions. Thank you very much, everyone. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your evening. Thank you so much. Good night, everyone.
yeah, just before we go, I had a few hours to prepare for this stream tonight to produce it. So I've got one button I haven't tested yet, and that's the credit roll. so everybody say good night. I'll press the button, see if something happens, and if nothing happens, Just pat it out for a bit. Pat it out for a bit while I'm figuring out how to end the stream. So here goes. Everybody say goodnight.
Good night, everybody.
Go.